So, as I decided to do some chores around the house, I put on some podcasts, true crime podcasts. And the two that I came across last night were Belle Guinness and Issei Sagawa. I cannot even get into how horrific these two people were. However, this led to my thoughts on what people will do if they have money and what they're willing to do to obtain money. So in Belle Guinness's case, she was like this Norwegian lady who moved to the States and then married someone who mysteriously died or died under mysterious circumstances, and therefore she collected, the money. And there was like a series of events that were happening that, like, her house burned down, her it was her house had burned down, her husband had died, and then her candy shop, which she owned with her husband, all burned down like within like a very short amount of time. It was very sus. And then this other gentleman, this is a trigger warning. I don't know how people feel about this, but he came from a wealthy Japanese family, and he, to make a long story short, he always had this weird craving for, like, he wanted to, like, literally, he was like a Hannibal Lecter. He wanted to, like, eat people, taste their flesh. He ended up murdering somebody who he, like, was, like, supposedly in love with, and then consuming them. And this happened in France. And then because France was getting such bad press around this, they ended up extraditing him back to Japan, but they did not extradite the evidence that it would take to put him away. And so he essentially, like, got off scot-free. And his family was, bought him the most amount of, top dollar lawyers, and was giving money to the right people so he could, walk away, which he did, and he's still alive to this day. And so I was actually thinking to myself, oh, and I should tell you, I actually listened to another podcast on Jim Jones because I wasn't really familiar. Well, I was familiar with it. I didn't know how, like, bad it was. And it seems like Jim Jones actually started out, I guess, with a good objective. Like, he was really into civil rights and equality for all, and he helped to integrate a lot of businesses back in the day. But he still was a scammer. Don't get me wrong. He still was a scammer. But where things, and he always was a narcissist, and he always had, like, cult leader tendencies, obviously. But then once he started accruing money from all the scamming he was doing, and then he started taking drugs, that's when I think there was a turn. Then Jonestown happened, and then he ended up being a mass murderer. So I was actually thinking, like, if none of these people, all these people died, if they did not have access to money, would they have been this bad? Like, does a person always have, like, sociopathic tendencies, and then the money just enhances it? That's what I was wondering. Like, I don't know if that guy who was, like, eating people, like, I didn't know, like, you can't get away with that if you didn't have mommy and daddy bailing you out. I don't know. Like, I just was like, how do you reconcile? You should, if you're into true crime, you should read, or you should listen to a podcast about all three of those people, because it just is like, how did you get here? I guess that's why I like true crime a lot, because I'm fascinated by, like, humans. Like, how the hell did you arrive at this particular destination in your life? You are a mass murderer. You are a cannibal. You may or may, no, it's that she actually 100% killed all these people in her path. Her husbands, she was like Belle Guinness, by the way. Belle Guinness was the one who was, like, soliciting, it wasn't sex, but she was trying to get men to come to her farm, this farm that she bought from all the money that she had accrued from, killing her previous husbands. She was trying to get people to come to the farm, and then she would kill them and then take their money. Like, how did you get here? That's what I want to know. I'm always fascinated by it. How did you arrive at this spot?